basically they just said, we're canceling your work contract. Then I got outside and I was like, uh-oh, now what? And I had a lot of work to do on myself because all of a sudden, the only noise in the room was me, where it was always so much between my kids, my foreign exchange students, my employees, my things. I never had to focus on myself. So I'm like, okay, now what do I want? And so I did some soul searching and was actually figuring out what I needed to do now or what I wanted to do now, and just really trying to fill a void. Because I think without realizing it, I just had this emptiness. I mean, it was like the Band-Aid was just ripped off and, with it, my legs and my arms went.
That's Bobbi Brown, the founder of her namesake makeup brand, Bobbi Brown Cosmetics. I'm Leah Smart, and this is Everyday Better. Stay tuned to hear how Bobbi became a cosmetics industry legend by following her gut through major life shifts. Don't forget to hit that follow button to get new episodes of our show every week. And if you want to hang out with me more, you can find me on socials. Finally, if you like this conversation, I have a favor to ask. Leave us a review wherever you're listening so we can keep bringing you more conversations that you love. We'll be back with Bobbi right after this break. Hey everyone, from LinkedIn News, this is Everyday Better, a show about the tools you need to create positive change in your mindset, your work, and every other area of your life. I'm Leah Smart, LinkedIn's senior editor and a certified professional coach. I help people become better versions of themselves one day at a time. And every week, I sit down with a trusted voice so together we can explore how to take small steps toward big changes, the kind we plan for, strive toward, or never saw coming. For decades, Bobbi Brown was the face and force behind one of the most iconic beauty brands in the world. As the founder of Bobbi Brown Cosmetics, she built an empire by trusting her gut, challenging trends, and insisting that makeup should help people look like themselves, only better. But when her contract was suddenly canceled, she stepped out of her office, looked around, and thought, now what? Her memoir is called Still Bobbi, a masterclass in resilience and reinvention, and it dives into the pivots, setbacks, and reinventions that shaped her life. And in today's conversation, we get into all of it, how she learned to listen to herself, rebuild after major change, and create the kind of life and work that feel true. Here's my conversation with Bobbi Brown. You built what you built at a time when, this style of makeup wasn't really the way.
I've never been conforming to what people do. And when the makeup was very artificial and over the top, I just didn't like the way it looked. And I didn't try to be a rebel. I just started doing makeup that I thought looked good, which were really crazy things like a foundation that matches your skin.
Right. I saw you saying they were pink for white women and gray for people of color.
Exactly.
Insane.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I was, a well-known young makeup artist who would get hired to do campaigns, and I did CoverGirl and Revlon, and they would give me all their makeup, and I'd have a beautiful black model, and I'd put it on their face, and I'm like, excuse me, I can't find a color that matches. They said, oh, just put it on. Just put it on. And I'm like, she looks like she has milk of magnesia on her face.
Why?
It doesn't look good. And so I started, going to the store and buying yellows and oranges and reds and blue pigment that I could fix. And I realized it was the yellow that fixed all those pink foundations.
Interesting.
So when I finally made foundation, I realized, I'm going to make foundation that actually disappears when people put it on.
Yeah, the point being, you said you look like yourself, but a little bit healthier.
Right, you
versus...
just look, even skin is the secret. But when I was a young girl, I would go to the department store and, the woman behind the counter would say, oh, honey, your skin is too yellow. Let me fix it. Your nose is too big. Let me show you how to change it. Your mouth is so small. Your eyes are too small. You walk out of there with the worst makeup on and you're like, something's not right here. And then when I'd wash my face, I'd say, okay, I look much better.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? A lot of people are going, okay, here's the trend, I'm going to follow it. You chose not to follow the trend, and you just did this when you're you walk out and something's not right. So I'm like, that feels like your response is a gut response.
To everything I do in my entire life is about this. And a lot of people think with their brains. I don't, unfortunately. I use a little bit, but I use my gut a lot.
How do you distinguish between when, as like a founder, as a business owner, when you use your gut versus when you do need to use more of your brain or more of your logic?
Well, I love the brain and the logic and the information, and I love the heart, but you can't always use that. Sometimes you have to just go with your gut, which means this doesn't feel right. Like I know when I'm, dressing in the morning, if I put something on and something doesn't feel right, I'll just go back into my closet and change because I know it's not going to feel right all day. I trust my gut. I do.
You had kind of this whirlwind period from, 1987 to 1988, everything happening. So you had work, you had marriage, you had a baby that came in 1990. I mean, you had all of these things going on at once. For people who have, and I mean, I will speak for myself, a lot of life changes and a lot of life happening at the same time. Kids, work, trying to figure out who you are amidst those things. What do you say to them as far as advice around the taking the time to figure it out?
Well, I would say, first of all, appreciate where you are now because you're going to look back at this time when you have a new baby or a new house or something, a new husband, and you're going to really say, wow, why wasn't I more appreciative or present? But also, for me personally, I learned how to hack my life. Okay, that didn't work. Let me figure this out. I remember there was one period where one of my kids would not want to wake up in the morning, and getting this kid dressed and breakfast was impossible. So I started putting him to bed in his clothes at night. I'd give him a bath, put him to bed in his clothes. He'd wake up. He would be dressed already. And I would just give him some breakfast and throw him out the door. And that worked. I figured out I was wasting a lot of energy and time on birthday presents for, all the kids' parties I had to go to. You buy it, you wrap it. Finally, I said, no, I'm just going to go to the bookstore and buy gift certificates for $5 and $10, put them in an envelope, hand it to the kid. Done.
Happy birthday, kid.
Happy birthday. And by the way, I supported the local bookstore, and it was less time consuming. So that's what I say. I hacked a lot of my child raising years.
Over your career, you have made trends. You haven't followed trends. And when we think about others who are in the process of saying, I want to be creative, I want to bring myself, I want to be innovative, and I want to be successful.
Yeah, stop saying it. Stop talking about it and just do it. People I want to be a founder. I want my own business. I need your advice. Okay, I'm here. I want my own business. Great. And then the conversation stops. What kind of business? And, I speak a lot in business schools, really smart kids, and they make beautiful decks. And it's an art. I don't know how to make a deck, but there is no substance. There's no product. There's ideas, but, how do you know this is going to work?
Do something.
Do something. I was once talking to this really great girl who had a new dog biscuit company. I don't remember exactly what was in it, but she was stuck because she says, I don't have enough money to be able to, do this and do that. I said, okay, do you have the biscuits? Yes. I said, put them in little Ziploc bags, go to the dog park, start giving them out to the parents of the dogs and see what they say. And, if they don't say anything, maybe it looks like a milk bone. Maybe it's not something.
But go do something.
But go do it. And you don't have to spend, she thought she needed money to go do focus groups. You don't. I started in the playground. When my kids were little, I would bring lipsticks and I noticed that there were nannies from all over the world, women with different skin colors and lip colors. And I would just try little things on these people. And they became my focus group. What do you think? And I'd have a mirror. That didn't cost anything. It was just me doing research.
Coming up, Bobbi and I get into the major twists and turns in her career. From a bad business partner to the day she got pushed out of her own brand. And finally, to the creation of her new brand, Jones Road. That's right after break. And we're back with Bobbi Brown on navigating tough changes. Talk to me about number twos. And I want to go first to the story of Roz, because I know not every single number two or partner situation is a dream come true, right? It comes with its challenges. Tell me the story about how that
Our
unfolded.
first.
Yep.
So first of all, my co-founder in everything I do is my husband. I couldn't have done any of this without him. So we started together, and then we met this couple and we asked them to be partners with us. And, it was very successful, but it was really challenging. Personality-wise, for many different things. And I used to come home at night in tears and just say, I can't do this. I can't do this. And my husband would calm me down. Breathe, we got this, we got this. And, when we did sell the company, one of the reasons was, I was happy to not have this responsibility of this, uncomfortable partnership. And so it was out of my hands. And that was good. And it was time to move on.
Are there a few things that you can say you either learned or that you would tell someone to do differently when it comes to creating successful partnerships?
I would absolutely have done things differently here if I could have. I mean, luckily I went through it and it made me more aware and stronger as a person. But I didn't know any better. And I probably should have said, let's discuss exactly whose job is what, and how we could stay in our lane. And we never did that. So there was a lot of crossover, her mostly coming into my lane. But we never did that. So put it this way, I've never had another partner. And I don't think I want one.
Yeah. My dad always says there's a reason there's not two presidents.
Right. Oh, for
not
sure.
Two CEOs.
Of course. Yeah. No, I know. I always hear people that are co-CEOs. I'm like, how does that work?
How do you do that? Yeah. One of the things that just thinking about things that I've learned, when I started this podcast, I started with someone else. And we had a tumultuous ending to that, which not shocking. But I learned that we went in believing that everything was going to be fine, just like you do when you go into a marriage, right? It's like, it's going to be great. Why do we need to talk about anything going wrong? But I would have done this again is I wish we had talked about what about when things go wrong, when
what do
this
we do?
breaks.
Whose is it?
Yes. How do we show up? And those are things that you don't.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
You walk in going.
Right.
It's going to be perfect.
Yeah. But it's the same thing hiring employees. It's like, sometimes I feel so bad when we hire someone that I really like and I realize it's not the right fit, not just for me, for the other person. And, I always feel bad when you have to just say, look, it's not working out. But it's not good for anyone.
You reminded me of our former CEO, Jeff Weiner, used to say that people who are the strongest coaches are the ones who know when to take the player out of the game.
Right, yeah.
And it comes with so much friction.
Yeah.
Right? When you left, you had this wonderful experience that lasted for a while, right? Your working contract was canceled, right?
Yeah.
Take me back to that day, that moment.
Day.
What was that like for you?
It was not an easy time, and it was, I would not have had the courage to do it myself. So it was really a gift in the long run because I was not happy. The last 2 years were really tough, 3 years. But the last year was just miserable, awful. And, you could see it on my face and my personality, my health, everything. And when I went into the meeting, I really thought finally they were going to listen to me and I was going to be able to hire a new president or, someone to help me do what needed to be done to this company. And that's not what happened. Basically, they just said, we're canceling your work contract. And we're taking you out of the day-to-day.
Wow.
I don't know about you, but to me, that's being fired.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Just to be the figurehead face of the brand was not something I was interested in at all.
Do you remember walking out of the office that day?
I do.
What was that like?
It was awesome, actually, because
I love it.
The last thing was, someone said to me, here's a new deal. Look at this. And I said, no. She said, you have to. I said, you just fired me. I don't have to. I put it down and I left. And I went down in the elevator. And the most bizarre thing was all of the stress of the last couple years went away. For a second, I was like, oh my God, I don't have to worry about all the problems that no one was helping me fix. The lighting and the duty-free shop in Germany and all these different things, all the employees that were hired without my knowledge that were really bad for the company, in my opinion, not my problem anymore. And, then I got outside and I was like, uh-oh, now what?
What do I do?
What do I do now? Uh-oh.
No one's expecting me anywhere right now except home.
Right. Uh-oh. Yeah. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was so busy. My date book, my calendar was so overfilled and full that I just didn't have time for anything else. And any extra time I had was dealing with angst, or different emotions. So when I finally left, it's like, oh my gosh. And so there was emotions to deal with. There was anger, there was sadness, there was fear, and little excitement, and it started to change slowly. And I had a lot of work to do on myself because all of a sudden, the only noise in the room was me, where it was always so much between my kids, my foreign exchange students, my employees, my things. I never had a focus on myself. So I'm like, okay, now what do I want? And so I did some soul searching and was actually figuring out what I needed to do now or what I wanted to do now, and just really trying to fill a void. Because I think without realizing it, I just had this emptiness. I mean, it was like the Band-Aid was just ripped off, and, with it, my legs and my arms went, so I didn't know what really to do.
Yeah.
And then, I started luckily talking to friends. I never went to a shrink, but I had a life coach friend who started helping me. And, I really highly recommend a life coach to people that are stuck, because they don't go back and talk about, how did you feel when your mother did this?
Yep,
it's really about what's going on now. What are you feeling now? So he was really helpful. And then I have this amazing chiropractor who does energy release, and he really helps getting negative energy out. And, because you realize when you're absorbing all this anger and negative energy, it's stuck.
It's stuck.
And it's just not good for you.
Yeah. I hired a life coach when I was stuck in my career like 7 years ago, and then I became one because I was so impacted.
I bet you're a great life coach.
I love coaching. Yeah. I worked in before this job. I was doing it at LinkedIn for our leaders. Yeah. And it is so powerful because it's
really
about
is.
where you are and where you want to go and what's in the gap. What did you learn about yourself?
Well, I learned that I need something to look forward to, and I need, challenge. I need challenge, and I also really need a posse of creative people around me to do things. And I learned that I really, more than anything, needed an assistant.
You're not someone who's going, I have to do it all.
No.
You're going, I need other people around me so I can shine in the area that I'm strongest.
Oh, I need to do it all, and I need to get it done, but I know that I can't do this by myself. I want to make sure it's happening. Like, I feel like I'm up here and I've got all this support, almost like I'm an umbrella. Like I'm at the top and I've got the spokes on the umbrella who are all the different departments helping me, do what I need to get done. So I build my support team. And then, I have these guys to be able to say, okay, what do you think about this? Or should we do this? Oh my God, look at this cream, look at this thing. And we have, it's called work, and it's what I love and enjoy.
As a founder, CEO, leader, I can imagine you hold yourself to a pretty high standard. But sometimes that standard can be so high for the people around you that you lose trust, right? Or you don't have, psychological safety. I can't make a mistake because Bobbi might find out, and she holds all of us to a high standard.
Well, then they probably shouldn't work at Jones Road, because I do hold myself and everyone around me to a high standard. But I also really believe that not everything works out. And instead of pretending it's working out, let's talk about it. Let's communicate and say, okay, we tried this, it didn't work out. Uh-oh, what do we do? I love when someone calls me and says, all right, I got to give you the bad news. This is happening, but this is what we're going to do about it. And I love when they have a solution when they're calling me. And if they don't have a solution, Bobbi, I need your help. What should we do?
Great. So you're not someone who's going, this should all have worked out. You're saying you need to come to me with a next step or seeking help.
Seeking help. It's about being comfortable enough. Don't just say yes to me. It's not going to work out working for me if you think your job is to say yes. I do want your opinion. Even if you're, the newest kid on the block, I want your opinion. Sometimes things get put up and I'm like, did you like that? And they're like, not really. I'm like, well, then why'd you put it up? and there's
Thought
no
I was
answer.
making you happy or
Whatever. No,
whatever,
it's
yeah.
terrible. Take it down,
Yeah.
But you tell me.
I'm finding you still in your career, right?
Yeah.
But you've written a memoir, which is always
Yeah.
like a point in time where we're saying, okay, I'm at least putting a marker down and saying,
Right.
this is my life so far.
Right.
What are you hoping to leave people with who read it or don't read it, but know that you've put yourself out there?
Well, that whatever they're stuck with or excited about or dreaming up is so doable. Honestly, it's so doable. And, just because you've been through certain things, like, the beginning of my life, when you read about things I went through with my family, like it would define some people. And I just didn't let it define me, Even all the negative times, I don't let it define me. I just go forward or I go sideways. And, you have the ability to do these things.
I love that. Thank you so much, Bobbi. This
You're
was
welcome.
great.
Thank you.
That was Bobbi Brown, founder of Jones Road and Bobbi Brown Cosmetics, and author of Still Bobbi, a masterclass in resilience and reinvention. If you like this episode, make sure you check out our conversation called On the Clock. It's about how 3 ambitious working moms manage everyday life and their changing identities between family and career. You can find a link to that in the show notes, and if you give it a listen, let me know what you think. Everyday Better is a production of LinkedIn News. The show is produced by Rachel Wong and Ava Ahmadbegi. Asaf Gadrone is our sound engineer. Tim Boland mixed our show. We get additional support from Alex Kuznetsova and Mujib Merdad. Sarah Storm is our senior producer. Dave Pond is head of production and creative operations. Maya Pope-Chappelle is director of content and audience development. Courtney Coop is head of original programming. Dan Roth is LinkedIn's editor-in-chief and vice president of content development. And I'm Leah Smart. Thanks for coming with me, and we'll see you next time.